Was this the worst episode of Dragon Ball DAIMA? Maybe. Let's talk about that, plus the various Easter eggs and interesting moments that happened in Dragon Ball DAIMA episode 13. Here's my breakdown. Let's get into it. So this episode focuses on two things, but mainly just Goku and the gang in this planet of giants. But let's briefly cover the other thing, the important thing that happened. So of course, at the end of the last episode, we got King Gomah saying, well, if that's how it is, or in that case, implying that he was gonna do something that he's been, he's been able to do, but holding back, right? He still had an ace up his sleeve. It turns out that what he was thinking of doing, or was going to do, was shut down Warp-sama, the goldfish. Don't call him a goldfish. So he tells Degesu, shut down Warp-sama. And we get a very interesting character moment with Degesu. And in fact, this may be the most interesting moment that Degesu has had the entire show. Because he doesn't want to. And he says, like, he's never heard of this happening. He heavily implies that this should not be done. This is prohibited by something, by some kind of rule, law, or just general agreed upon norm that you should not, that you cannot shut down Warp-sama. And when he's shutting down, it's just a lever. I love that it's just a lever. He's like, why am I the one that has to do this? Like, he's going to have to face some kind of repercussion for being the one that shuts down Warp-sama. So it seems like we're getting some kind of like really strong implication here that this is heavily taboo. And interestingly, the next episode in Dragon Ball DAIMA is called Taboo. So maybe that has something to do with this. And maybe Degesu, this is maybe his cracking point that he's starting to go, I'm in over my head. I don't want to support King Gomah anymore. And maybe he's going to turn it towards the end and help out the good guys, quote unquote, Goku and everybody. So we'll see. But that's basically it with that part of the story. The rest of the story just takes place on this random planet. So Goku and the gang, once again, there's another plane crash. And look, I'm really liking DAIMA. I really like it. But come on. Come on. Too many plane crashes. So anyway, they crash, but they land safely. And Neva freaks out because apparently this is a planet called Planet Mega, where there are some very scary giants. And we get some funny moments. We get some interesting moments. But let's go through the Easter eggs. There's two Easter eggs. One that I've seen other people talk about. The other that I haven't seen anybody talk about. So first, the one that I've seen people talk about is that this is a reference back to Dragon Ball GT episode 6, where the characters find themselves in a planet of giants called Monmaasu. Instead of Monmaasu in Japanese, which it means mammoth. So that's just a play on the word mammoth in Japanese. So again, giants, and we get giants in this episode. Okay, whatever. Another kind of, like Dragon Ball GT references. It's a so what reference, I think. But the other reference, which, if it's true, it may just be me reading too much into this, but if it's true, it would be extremely subtle, but also kind of cool. So we've already gotten a Dr. Slump reference. We've gotten a Dragon Quest reference. Of course, two things. Well, Toriyama made Dr. Slump. Of course, that's his baby, right? That's his first big hit. And then he's known for doing the character designs for Dragon Quest. So another thing that he's known for is Chrono Trigger, because he also did the character designs for this epic, legendary SNES era RPG put out by Square, at the time called Square, now Square Enix. So he did the character designs for that. Well, the reference that I'm talking about is that this planet is called Mega, but the inhabitants are called Megas, which in English is being localized as Megath. However, Megas with an S in the original Japanese sounds a lot like the English name of one of the villains in Chrono Trigger. And his name is Magus. I think it's pronounced Magus, or maybe Magus, which is really similar to Megasu. It's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. And here's the other interesting layer that made me think, oh, maybe this is a reference. The Japanese name of Magus is, drumroll please, Mao, Demon King. So I don't know. This doesn't seem like a coincidence. It seems too good to be true. So maybe this is a super, super subtle reference back to Chrono Trigger. Let me know in the comments. Do you think I'm reaching, or do you think this is the case? Back to the story, though, we find out that this is a really, really scary planet that they've crash landed on. And in fact, we find out that it's the second scariest planet. These giants are not to be trifled with. And we see a child giant who's on his way from school. Just classic Dragon Ball humor, just really silly. And actually, the child giant he has like a cooked tentacle from a kraken. So that just goes to show that these giants are serious business. But aside from that, we get a nice moment between Pansy and Bulma. So kind of like the OG tech, mechanic and the new generation. It was cute. It was a nice scene. And we learn about Majilite. So I had speculated that perhaps the mysterious mineral ore or substance that powered the spaceships was actually Kachinko. But in fact, it turned out to be something else, Majilite. And that Majilite is found in kind of like in the layer between the Demon Realm number 3 and number 2. And it's like what provides the sunlight. Well, it's not actually sunlight, but it's what provides the light. And it's highly restricted. If you try to steal it, you get the death penalty. But if you steal it from like one of those airships, it's okay. Because Pansy says, I'll have my dad steal us some because Bulma wants some, which to me is foreshadowing that maybe Bulma's going to do something with this Majilite. As for the word itself, this is probably like Maji as in magic, like magic. And then light might actually be light, or it may be, well, it's probably light plus the whole like mineral like suffix, right? Something ite. Like we were seeing with, there's various minerals, ores. I can't think of one off the top of my head, actually. But, ITE. So it seems like, magic plus light plus mineral suffix. Anyway, we get some giant hamsters, and Goku's actually quite nice. Like, he doesn't want to beat up the hamsters because they're just, he would feel bad doing so. And we get, then we get this like dog kind of creature. And then we get what may be like the biggest Easter egg of this episode, especially for the Japanese fans. For the English-speaking fans, they just completely went over their heads, like 99% or more of them at least. So basically what happens is there are these giant ticks. So like I said, we get this giant dog character, and then these giant ticks appear. And then Piccolo says, oh, ticks, like, they're ticks. Like he says, danika, right, in Japanese. So this is a like, man, okay, so to think that this would be a thing in Dragon Ball, this was not something I was expecting. But in 1993, there was a Dragon Ball movie number 8. That's the Broly movie, right? Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, I think is the title. There's a scene in this movie where Vegeta says, Nani? Which means what, right? What? But it sounds like Horikawa Ryo, the voice actor, says, Dani? And Dani means tick. So this became a meme in the Japanese fandom, and it's pretty funny, and people like to take this video and chop it up and do things with it. So this the giant ticks with Piccolo saying Danika, like total reference to that. So if you're an English speaker, not amusing at all. To a Japanese fandom, I guess it would have been funny. And to me, it was like, oh, of all the things that they that they were referencing, I was not expecting that. But anyway, that happens. We have some nice fights, and Piccolo actually, fights, and Goku ends up kind of fighting with the giant and the Nyoibo and his power pole and all that. But eventually, they get out okay. They get on the ship, and as they're leaving, we kind of see like the actual big giants. That's pretty much it. We also find out that planet Giga is the most fearful, kind of scary place. They're even bigger, I guess. So why don't these guys, if they can so easily, like, for example, kill a Kraken and they're so powerful, why don't they take the Dragon Ball as well? Because they're just not interested in power and that kind of thing. They are very nonbiri, which means like very laid back, very relaxed. So that is the explanation, and I'm totally fine with that. At the end, we get a nice little line with Piccolo saying like "Sasuga Makai," something like that, which means like, well, that's the demon realm for you, because, well, he's talking about, of course, the craziness of Planet Mega and the giants and the giant hamsters and the ticks and all that, but also I think he's talking about that beautiful little scene at the end with the lights that kind of seem like, I don't know, fireflies or something flying through the air. So it's this like severe contrast of like the ridiculous, scary, dangerous nature of the demon realm with the utter beauty of the demon realm. So I thought that was a nice little line to finish it all off with by Piccolo. But that was basically it. I mean, I think you could say, yeah, look, I haven't really played Dragon Quest, but I do think there's some giant character there in Dragon Quest. So you could also say maybe this is a little reference to that as well. But that's basically it. Look, this episode was not really all that consequential. We got the important plot point of course, Gomah shutting down the Warp Sama, and now the characters are going to have to go like the old way through the demon realms. I think it was in episode 3 they talked about like the old way, like these like a tunnel, like a hole, something like that, like a little portal that goes through the demon realms, and so I guess that's what's going to happen in the next episode. And of course we got a little bit about the Majilite, and that's kind of it in terms of like significance to the story. So I'm gonna give this episode a 6. Look, it wasn't bad, and I think it would be not, like it would not be a memorable episode even if you were binging. Like this would not be something we're talking about. I'm totally okay with having an episode like this because I understand that you need to like bring down the pace and set up a little bit and budget. But yeah, overall, this is not going to be an episode that I will be looking forward to rewatching at any point. I'm looking forward to the next episode because it seems we're getting back into the main plot, and hopefully by the end of next episode, we will be in Demon Realm number 1, and there will be a nice little setup for the next showdown, which again, I am suspecting will be Majin Buu versus Vegeta, Goku, and maybe Piccolo, and I don't know, Gloria's going to be the monkey wrench that perhaps tries to steal the Dragon Balls and bring them over to Arinsu's side, and we shall see what happens after that. So let me know what you thought about the episode. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think this was the best episode ever? And what do you think is going to be happening in the next episode? Drop me a comment, like, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.